You were talking about how it was a disservice to certain kids, white kids, when it comes to like privilege or whatnot. And I know you want to talk about this, so I'm gonna let you get it started. When it came to what's going on down in the Mississippi high school, West Point Consolidated School District, what's happening down there? It's absurd. It's an atrocity. It's sad, to be honest with you. It's just maddening as well. But go ahead.
And it's, as I sip my Mutombo coffee this morning, it's also American, Mike. It's American. So we're talking about West Point Consolidated School District. The first part of the story that I'll relate is a beautiful success story, best and the brightest. Layla Temple, a black young lady named the Salutatorian. I didn't always used to be able to say that word. The Val this year, Ikeria, Washington, as you may have deduced, also a lovely black student. She's the valedictorian this year of the class. So that was announced on Monday, right? Then on Thursday, hours before the graduation, wait, the school says there's a change. We need to recognize 4 students, 2 vowels and 2 sals. And did you know that 2 other young ladies who happen to be white, I believe, are now going to be recognized as well?
Was one a guy and one a girl? Was one a? I think one was a white student. A white, I think, yeah.
Maybe.
I think so.
I didn't look down and recall their names.
They were both white.
So now there's 4. Okay, but they're both white, and so there's 4 students who will now give speeches. They did. It's over. Because for the first time in that school district's history, they want to use 2 different formulas. They say it's already in the bylaws. They just didn't do it before. This is what I'm talking about. Gifted white students who just happen to not be number 1 or 2 this year. Just that's it. For the first time, there's a black val and sal. And no white student, you are not the valedictorian. You're not the sal either, okay? And guess what? Doesn't mean you're not great, but you are not on top this time. But in keeping with the big American lie and the real affirmative action, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Because it can't possibly be that a couple of black girls and their magic beat you out. Not in America.
In Mississippi.
Because, of course, they can't be better than you. And they certainly can't be smarter than you. And they can't outperform you. Because that's not our American history. So, yeah, this is what I mean. You're doing white children an enormous disservice by refusing to allow them to compete on a real world, truthful level. Instead of telling them, no matter what, we're going to ensure that you have a leg up, more things, more pushes, more wind at your back, and then if you still don't beat out a black or brown or indigenous person, we'll just change the rules. That's what we'll do. And if you really think about what we're talking about today as a network, and we'll continue to talk about forever with Black Tulsa, Northern Tulsa, Greenwood, it's the same thing. You obliterated a community, you murdered people, you stole their stuff, they rebuilt. Right now we know the story, they rebuilt after the massacre. And then you change the rules again. And use eminent domain and greater use and highways and a lot of other stuff. A lot of other stuff. You passed laws. You did same kind of trash that you're doing now down in Texas. I'd walk out too, and all you could do is threaten Greg Abbott, governor of Texas. Well, you're not going to get paid then. It's first put our knee on your neck, and then the threats. Knee threats, knee threats, knee threats, and it's this perpetual thing that goes on and on and on. So I hope we can get them on the show. Ikeria, Washington, and Layla Temple. You are the best.
Well, we'll reach out.
You too.
Yeah, and they should be acknowledged that way. But it's a microcosm of what we've been talking about in society when it comes to this country. Every time black and brown person gets a step up, move closer to becoming equal, and there's still a long way to go before you even achieve any sort of fairness or being equal when it comes to other people in this country or whatnot. They changed the rules. Once again, voting changed the rules. Everything that you make progress in, the rules get changed. Even with the Civil Rights Act back in the day, they changed the rules. I mean, you in slavery, then all of a sudden you're going to put you in jail, 13th Amendment, because we can put you in jail a different kind of way and give you a different kind of slavery. Or we can have Jim Crow laws. It's always the changing of the rules that we have to be aware of. It's like, how much progress can you actually make in this country without the rules being changed? So yeah, you're right. It is a disservice to those kids. And I don't know if they were the ones who complained, their parents were the ones that complained, that brought this up. But all I know is that they said that they used this method in years past. How come we haven't seen or heard of 4 valedictorians or 2 valedictorians and 2 salutatorians? How come we haven't seen this before?
Not true. It's not true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the first time you actually have 2 black females or 2 black kids, period, as the top 2 students in your high school. Oh no, that can't possibly be. So let's find let's find some kind of way to get around that rule.
Carry
so
the one.
Say, oh,
and
it's
if I cross
it's the
that
QPA
out
and the GPA.
And then
if that's the case, here's what we need to do. That school district, to make it right, because it is about a title, a status, all right? So let's go back into history, and you got the records to prove it. Let's go back into history for the last 15 to 20 years in that school district and look at who had the best QPA, who had the best GPA. And if it was black kids who had the best, I guess in this situation, QPA, and you had valedictorian and salutatorian there as white people, whatnot, make honorary. Back in the day, you can what's the word that you use for it when you go back in time, and I can't remember the word for it, but retroactively basically make these black kids who weren't valedictorians or salutatorians back in the day, give them that title and say, yes, you deserve that. You're a Val, you're a Sal as well. Even though they weren't acknowledged at the graduation, it's still something that they can say 20 years from now that I was one of the best, if that is the way you're going to do things. Otherwise, we're going to call you out on it. We're going to have those 2 little girls, beautiful women, I should say, on this show, and we're going to keep on talking about it so you'll never do something like this again. This is the type of thing that I'm talking about. I want to love everybody, and I do love everybody. But this is the type of thing that just makes me boil, because they worked hard at this. They deserve that. And then you're going to give something to somebody else because you didn't like the color of their skin. And that's the only reason I can come up with why all of a sudden you want to implement this rule all of a sudden.
Their parents were probably shocked.
On, man.
What do you mean? A black kid, a black girl beat out my baby? She's worked so hard.
Yeah. My high school back in the day in Alabama, black girl was homecoming queen, and there was outrage. There was outrage
that she was
in Alabama, and I was in a beautiful.
Oh no!
Outrage.
What?
Outrage.
Alabama
No, can't.
Black.
Can't be. So yeah, we've been dealing. So you hear the passion in my voice.
You
this
all
morning.
fixed that.
Honestly, it's just something that's
rigged.
It can't be. You can't be the best. You obviously you couldn't have beat. No, that's not. We're not standing for that. We're not doing that.
I'm very worried about not just our children. I'm worried about white kids. I'm not joking. I'm very worried. Very worried.
Yeah, and it goes back to like remember the college admission scandal. That wasn't fair to those kids. That really wasn't fair to those kids to get them in that school. They didn't deserve to be in the school. You know, they didn't get in on their own merits, but you paid for them to get in, and so that's not fair to them. Let everybody understand that if you work hard and you put in the work and you continue to work on it, you're going to get. It's going to pay off for you, I guess, if you're white. But if you're black, then you still got to share it with somebody.
We'll just change
what kind of message are you sending?
We'll just change the rules.
All right.
We'll make sure you get to the top.
They're telling us to go.